The collection will try to cut off the head and leave the tail. If you enjoy watching, please support by liking, sharing and commenting. Silent Hill, a horror film dubbed a masterpiece. Since its release, it has become an unshakable shadow for countless viewers. And today, the sequel to Silent Hill, the dark and eerie horror scenes, are still a favorite topic among many film fans. At the beginning of the story, the girl Sasha hides from a group of black-robed pursuers, in the middle of a carousel in an amusement park. But at that moment, she realizes that the one controlling the carousel is a triangular-headed monster. Even scarier is that in an instant, those wooden horses transform into bound people, who are continuously letting out piercing screams. At that moment, a pale-faced girl appears before Sasha. Don't go to Silent Hill. As soon as the girl finishes speaking, she waves her hand and releases a burst of flames, engulfing the entire carousel in flames. Even Sasha herself was engulfed by the fire. Her father hurried over to comfort her after hearing the noise. He said it was just a dream. However, the next second, a bladder-wielding monster suddenly appeared and stabbed her father to death. In the blink of an eye, Sasha woke up from the dream again. It turned out she had just had a dream within a dream. Recently, Sasha has been frequently having nightmares, and the events in her dreams are becoming more and more real. What surprised her even more was that during breakfast, her father gave her a birthday gift. Sasha excitedly tore open the gift, but she found that it was the jacket she wore in her dream. This gave Sasha a suddenly ominous feeling, but in order not to worry her father, she did not tell him the truth. After breakfast, Sasha got ready to go to school. However, unexpected strange events occurred again. She was first on her way to school. She saw a homeless man suddenly transform into a monster, but the next second, he returned to his original form. Sasha didn't know if she was seeing things, or if there really were monsters. And when she arrived at school, the corridor, which had just been bustling with people, suddenly had only her left. The lights began to flicker. She could hear shouts calling to kill the witch. Just as Sasha was about to find the source of the sound, the entire corridor was suddenly plunged into darkness. And when the lights came back on, Sasha found herself unexpectedly in a ruin. A monster wrapped in a layer of membrane was stealthily approaching her. Sasha was so scared that she kept backing away. As a result, she accidentally bumped into a male classmate. It turned out that Sasha had instantly returned to reality. The boy who bumped into her is Sasha's classmate, Vincent. He has had a crush on Sasha and wanted to talk to her, but Sasha doesn't want to pay attention to him right now. After finally getting through the school day, Sasha had just walked out of the classroom building when she suddenly turned back, because she saw a strange man standing at the school gate. Sasha clearly remembers. On her way to school, she noticed that the man was staring at her, so she decisively called her father to tell him that she might be being followed. So the father and daughter decided to meet at the mall shortly. But strangely, Sasha waited at the mall for a long time. She never saw her father's figure. What frightened her even more is that she discovered that everyone in the mall had all turned into bloodthirsty monsters. Sasha was terrified by the scene before her. At this moment, the man who seemed to be following her appeared again. Sasha hurriedly hid in the mall's stairwell. During this time, she kept calling her father, but nobody answered on the other end of the line. Just then, the man caught up to her. He openly claimed that he meant no harm. He also said that he came specifically to save her. The stranger told Sasha that he was actually a private detective. He had been hired by a certain church to find her whereabouts. After this period of observation, the detective found Sasha to be pure and kind. Meanwhile, the church was an evil organization from Silent Hill, so he came specifically to warn Sasha to escape quickly. This was the second time Sasha had heard of Silent Hill, but she still refused to believe him, and she locked herself in the elevator. As a result, she saw the blade monster from her dreams. It suddenly appeared behind the detective. With one strike, it severed half of his hand. Seeing this, Sasha hurriedly dragged him into the elevator. She thought this would allow them to escape from the blade-faced creature's pursuit. Unexpectedly, the blade-faced creature jumped on top of the elevator. It waved its sword-like arms. It smashed a hole in the top of the elevator. This scene was truly spectacular. I really wanted to drive to the scene to see it. Speaking of cars, I recently bought a car from Gwazi Used Cars. I got a 2021 Tesla Model 3. I didn't expect to pay only $99,000. That's over $130,000 cheaper than a new one. But it drives just like new. New cars depreciate quickly now. Buying from Gwazi is a great deal. Every car from Gwazi has undergone official professional inspection. You can also test drive it for 3 days to buy with confidence. Gwazi cars are economical. You can also get a Tesla for $99,000. Don't miss out. But strangely, in the next moment, the blade-faced figure suddenly vanished. Only then did the two of them let out a sigh of relief. But just as they were about to leave the elevator, unexpectedly, the blade-faced figure reappeared and grabbed the detective. Sasha was so frightened by the scene that she fled in panic. Outside, she ran into her classmate, Vincent. He insisted on taking her home. Seeing that she couldn't escape, Sasha reluctantly agreed. But shortly after, Sasha saw the figure in a black robe that had appeared in her dream, standing under the streetlight across the street, staring at her. Did you see them? Who? The one who was running? No. Seeing that Vincent couldn't see the group, Sasha became increasingly anxious. Too many bewildering things had happened today, especially since her father still hadn't returned her call. This made Sasha even more worried. Sure enough, when she returned home, father has long since disappeared. Only the bloody words written on the wall remain. Go to Silent Hill, in big bloody letters. And the mysterious runes beside the words made Sasha unable to help but recall that her father had a small wooden box engraved with the same pattern. When she opened the box, she surprisingly found a letter her father had written to her. Inside, there was a pile of information about Silent Hill, and a seal engraved with a mysterious pattern. Do you know what this is? I don't know. It seems there is also a piece that complements it. Although Sasha didn't recognize this seal, she always felt it was unusual. Then she took the seal and a handgun with her. According to the information, she headed to Silent Hill. On the way, Sasha opened the letter her father wrote to her. It turned out that her father had known all along that he would go missing one day. Her father also told Sasha, everything in her dreams truly exists, because she has been trapped in Silent Hill since childhood. It was her mother who sent her out with that stamp. Later, Sasha learned from the Ziliao that Silent Hill was originally a colonial prison, but it has been ruled by an evil church. They burn a girl every year to bring their deity to the mortal realm. The church sacrifices a girl every year. As a result, a girl named Eliza could not be killed by fire no matter what. The pain of being consumed by flames filled her with a strong sense of hatred. Thus, the entire town was cursed by the girl. Since then, Silent Hill has turned into a hell on earth. Anyone who enters the town finds it hard to escape. In his letters, her father constantly urged Sasha not to return to Silent Hill. But how could she ignore her father being captured? And so, the two hurriedly drove towards Silent Hill. Along the way, they planned to rest at a motel for the night. But when Sasha was awakened from her sleep by yet another nightmare, she found Vincent sitting on the edge of the bed, holding that seal, his face serious. Noticing that Sasha was awake, Vincent suggested that she should listen to her father, and not go to Silent Hill. When Sasha insisted on refusing, he had no choice but to reveal a secret about himself. It turned out that he was once a member of the church in Silent Hill, and was specifically tasked with bringing Sasha back to Silent Hill. Sasha never expected that the person she had finally been willing to trust was actually deceiving her. To this, Vincent candidly stated he was also left with no choice. My whole life I have been educated, and everyone says that Alyssa is extremely evil. She trapped us here. She summoned the overwhelming darkness. And you are a part of her. Vincent, in order to save the church, was willing to endure suffering beyond what ordinary people can bear to leave Silent Hill. But now he has realized the church is the root cause of all this. He told Sasha, Elisa, to protect her goodness from being corrupted by darkness, imbued this part of her soul into a baby girl. And that baby girl is Sasha. So she absolutely cannot return to Silent Hill. Otherwise, once she becomes one with Elisa, the church will surely burn her alive as a sacrifice to the deity. But desperate to save her father, Sasha couldn't care less. Left with no choice, Vincent had to hand the seal over to Sasha, and reminded her that if she wants to save her father, we must find the other half of the seal. As soon as Vincent finished speaking, the entire room suddenly fell into darkness. The next second, the walls of the room began to peel. Looking at this familiar scene, Vincent finally realized they had arrived at Silent Hill. At that moment, the blade face reappeared and knocked both of them out. When Sasha woke up, she found herself in a strange room. As the alarm outside started to sound, this world suddenly plunged into darkness. The room, which had just been spotless, instantly became dilapidated. To figure out what was happening, Sasha accidentally walked into a warehouse filled with plastic mannequins. As soon as she entered, she felt countless eyes staring at her. This made her feel very uncomfortable. After a while, he heard a girl's crying nearby. She walked toward the sound. To her surprise, she saw a naked girl lying on the table. In the next moment, the girl suddenly turned into a plastic model. Run! It was then that Sasha understood. The plastic models here were actually all living people. Immediately after, she rescued another girl who hadn't been turned into plastic yet. However, this action startled the model spider nearby. Seeing this, Sasha pulled the girl and ran. Just as the two were about to crawl out through the ventilation duct, the girl was still grabbed by the model spider. Sasha knew she couldn't save her a second time. She had no choice but to keep crawling forward. Eventually, in a dilapidated cell, she encountered a blind old man who was locked up. Through conversation, she learned that the old man was not an outsider who had stumbled into Silent Hill. He was actually a member of the church. Moreover, he was the father of the high priest. He was locked away by his daughter because he was eroded by darkness. The old man complained. His daughter's erosion was even more severe than his. After learning that Sasha came with a seal to save her father, the old man suggested that he study the seal. It might help her find her father. Although Sasha did as instructed, she quietly raised her handgun. As long as the old man dared to have ulterior motives, she would definitely pull the trigger without hesitation. I need to find the other half. You have already found it. The other half is within me. Just as the old man's words fell, he forcibly stuffed the seal into his body. In the next second, his originally blind eyes instantly returned to normal. He realized that Sasha was a part of Eliza. Immediately, he grabbed her by the neck. In a critical moment, Sasha decisively fired her gun. To her surprise, the old man not only did not die but had also turned into a monster. He was not only incredibly strong, breaking free from the chains, but also knocked Sasha unconscious and carried her out of the cell. When Sasha regained consciousness, she discovered that the monster's body had a crack, through which she could just see the combined seal. Sasha decisively reached her hand inside, and after pulling out the seal, the monster suddenly threw her heavily to the ground. It then turned into a pile of ashes. At this moment, Sasha could only rely on herself to continue searching for her father's whereabouts. However, on both sides of the narrow corridor, countless prisoners were being held. All of them reached out their arms trying to prevent Sasha from moving forward. "Who will save me?" A triangular-headed monster seemed to hear Sasha's cry, and came directly to the corridor, cutting off all the arms. It turns out this triangular head is the guardian summoned by Eliza. Because Sasha possesses part of Eliza's soul, she also became her protected one. Unaware of this, Sasha escaped from the corridor, and arrived at a room full of sexy nurses. Here, she saw Vincent tied to the operating table. The two quickly realized that although these nurses had excellent hearing, they were a group of blind people. So she carefully helped Vincent untie his bindings, and took him to escape from there. Under Vincent's guidance, Sasha finally arrived at the entrance where her father was imprisoned, and this place turned out to be the amusement park from her dreams. Even those men in black robes were predictably appearing nearby. The two could only carefully hide to the side. After learning of Sasha's determination to save her father, Vincent boldly confessed his feelings to Sasha, and gave her a heartfelt kiss goodbye. Then he dashed out to help Sasha distract the man in the black cloak. And Sasha, just like in her dream, found herself in the middle of the carousel, and saw with her own eyes the pale-faced girl. At this moment, Sasha already knew that the other person was the one who plunged the entire town into darkness, Alyssa. Alyssa commanded Sasha to leave this place immediately. She also said that her father was merely an adoptive father. There was no need to make any sacrifices for him. "I gave you life to fulfill my dreams. You are a part of me, able to escape pain. Live on, to feel love. Can't you feel anything at all? Besides hate, nothing else." Seeing that Sasha insisted on saving her father, Alyssa instantly became furious. She immediately grabbed Sasha by the neck, preparing to reclaim her life. But what Alyssa didn't expect was that Sasha, with the help of the seal, actually devoured her soul. At this moment, the carousel also began to slowly sink. Sasha finally found the church's stronghold, and here she found her father locked away. The high priest thanked Sasha for defeating Alyssa, and helped the church piece together the seal. But she had no intention of releasing Sasha's father, because she intended to use this man's blood to sacrifice to the deity, and make Sasha a vessel for the deity's arrival in the world. Under the high priest's coercion, Sasha could only hand over the seal. But as the old man said, the high priest had long been eroded by darkness. The moment she touched the seal, she transformed into a demon. And it was that mysterious blade face. Just as she was about to swing her knife at Sasha, Triangle Head appeared again to block the fatal blow. The two monsters immediately began their duel. Although Blade Face moved quickly and was agile, it was no match against absolute strength. Soon, it was decapitated by Triangle Head. In the end, Sasha was saved. She prepared to leave this place with her father and Vincent, but her father decided to stay behind, because he wanted to search for his wife, who had been missing for many years. The father entrusted Vincent to take good care of Sasha. Then he disappeared into the mist. Not long after, the two of them got a ride in a passing car to leave Silent Hill. But just after they left, several police cars headed towards Silent Hill. It seems the legend of Silent Hill is not over yet. Subscribe to the channel to continue watching. See you next time.